Hello and welcome to a quick video covering the player predicted scores dashboard on Index Edge. This dashboard can be found just below the Matchday Scores tab here, and it can be really useful to try and find the highest upcoming predicted scores. So that will help us try and find the players who could win matchday dividends. First of all, we're going to have a quick look at the players with the highest predicted scores, and this will be for all future 2020 to 2021 season fixtures. And you can see that there are a few players who you're probably thinking, what's Abubakar doing there? What's Paulinho doing here? Or Manuel Fernandes? But the reason those players are included here is just because they've only started one game each. And in that one game, they would have hit a really high matchday score. So that's why I would certainly start by just changing this filter. Even by putting in two there, you're going to get rid of those anomalous results, really. And now we have some really great players standing out. Joshua Kimmich, De Bruyne, Çalhanoğlu, Parejo, Theo Hernandez. And you can notice here that all of these matches are against teams in a European tournament, either the Champions League or the Europa League, and they're all at home as well. And that's because the player predicted score does take into account whether you are at home or away. It also takes into account the 1.25 multiplier and also the fixture difficulty. And the player predicted score is based on thousands of data points to basically try and create this average predicted score for these players. So what we can do is then change the date range, and say we wanted to enter into the Football Index tournaments that they're running at the moment, where you try and predict the highest matchday scores for the weekend. You could actually just change the date range and have a look at the players who are actually predicted to hit the highest score on a given day. And you can do this for any match day with your own portfolio as well. Now we can see Kimmich appears, Neymar, De Bruyne, Lacroix. Now Lacroix's only played 2 matches, so we might want to change this and increase that a little bit further and just go to 3 starts at least. Although Lacroix has performed really well all season, so maybe he is a good pick. But now we can see all these players have actually played a lot of matches altogether. And you can actually see the minutes per match as well. And that can be interesting because these player predicted scores are based on the assumption that the player will play a full 90. But with like the Pep roulette at City, you have players like Gundogan, Zinchenko, Cancelo standing out, but they may not actually hit such high scores if they are being rotated. De Bruyne is there, but he does tend to play a full 90 when he plays. But actually his average minutes per match is only 45, which is a little bit surprising. I guess maybe he's rested for various games or injuries and so on. But that can be really useful to predict which players are going to stand out at the weekend. So we can see already like Kimmich, De Bruyne, Verratti, Sancho, Messi, Guerrero. These are some of the players that could stand out this Saturday. Neymar is currently injured, so it is always worth just checking these players to see if they are injured or not. And we'll go for this Sunday as well, so we'll see which players could stand out this Sunday. So we have Trent there, Thiago Alcantara, Van Dijk. That's partly because they're playing Sheffield United, who have a very high fixture difficulty rating, which means that it could be quite an easy fixture. Whereas like Bruno Fernandes is here, and yeah, he has a very high player predicted score still because his scores are so good, but it's certainly a lot lower than what it usually is because they've got Chelsea away, and there's a very low fixture difficulty rating here. So there's various ways that you can use this player predicted score. The other thing that you can do is have a look at specific teams to see what sort of scores one team could hit. So if we'll go for Manchester United, see what scores their players. So we have Bruno Fernandes, Fred. Some of these players aren't really playing, like Phil Jones or Marcus Rojo. So obviously just ignore the anomalous results really. Tellez and Luke Shaw and so yeah, there's some pretty decent players here. It's probably not the best example, that one, because there's some players who have played very few games. So again, maybe just change like starts, change that to like 30 or something, and then we'll probably get better results. So we have players who actually play regularly now, like like Bruno and Fred, and well, Fred doesn't always play, does he? But you have Maguire there. I think he's played the most minutes since the start of last season of all outfield players. Just a random statistic for anyone. That's why he has a very high minutes per match here of 87.58. And then if we reset the filter, and you can actually play around with some of these statistics as well. So you could have a look at like players who have the most goals per 90 or assists per 90. Let's try and find players who have scored like more than 0.5 goals per 90, which is really high. And you can actually sort this column as well. And then if you remove the number of starts, that could be fairly interesting. So if we went for like, yeah, we'll go for like 50 starts in here, and then have a look at the player who has the best goals per 90 stats on Football Index, because I'm not even sure who it is. Well, yeah, Lewandowski. Probably should have guessed that one. And you could do the same with the assist per 90. And then you have all of their predicted scores here. And as you can see, Lewandowski is predicted to hit some very high scores, both in the Champions League and also just in the Bundesliga. So there are various ways to use this player predicted scores dashboard. The other thing that you might want to do is have a look at players in certain positions in particular to see which players are most likely to win, maybe top defender, top midfielder, or top forward. And you can also have a look at filtering the player predicted scores just to find those players who are actually going to hit particularly high scores. And this can be particularly useful. Say you want to find young players as well. You could have a look at players who have predicted scores of over 100 and then put a age filter in to try and find players who are quite young who actually are predicted to hit some pretty good scores. So if we sort this by player predicted score again to try and find the players with the highest predicted scores under 24. So we have Paulinho again, but then we have like Theo Hernandez, Diego Dalot in the Europa League, Ismail Benacer as well in the Europa League. And if we scroll down, we'll find some other players. Cody Gakpo having a very good season for PSV again. Tapsoba very consistent at the back. Nice goal at the weekend from him. And Trent Alexander-Arnold, not really too many surprises there. So there's some interesting names and it's worth playing around with. So thanks for watching this video. I hope it has been useful. And as always, have a great rest of your day.